Welcome into the 701.
We're back again with episode number 28.
It is your favorite day of the week, podcast day with Under Review.
It should be your favorite day of the week. Whether you listen to this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, it's your favorite part of the week.
Exactly. Nailed it. And we have got an NFL show for y'all because there's some NFL free agency stuff that's been going on, and we are hyped to talk about this with you because our opinion matters.
That's right, baby. It matters. We give you simply the facts, right? You're going to hear a lot of different things, but what we say is the
unfiltered truth.
This is the facts, all right? You just need to remember what we say, not what anyone else says.
Exactly. Unless they agree with us, then you can listen to them.
Exactly.
All right, jumping in, stat of the week.
Kick it off.
Brought to you by special shout out, Emma Kate Jarvis, who actually designed the back of the t-shirts that a lot of y'all purchased, which, by the way, thank you so much
All of you should have purchased.
Thank y'all for those of you that did purchase them. Thank y'all for getting those. If you do want some, you can still hit us up because we can still order some more. But
That's right.
Emma Kate designed the back. She did a great job. So, yeah, huge shout out to her. This stat is sponsored by her. It's about Kyler Murray. He just got signed to a big extension, and we're going to talk about that today. So Kyler Murray's overall NFL starting stat as a starter, he has won 22 games, he has lost 23 games, and he has tied one game. He's gone 22, 23, and 1. It's actually kind of sad for the amount of money he just signed for.
If my calculations are correct, yes. I believe that's a losing record.
That is a losing record. We will discuss that here in a second.
We will get into that a little bit.
Brought to you by Emma K. Jarvis.
Just talking about Kyler Murray, he has to be our player of the week, obviously, because he got this huge contract.
Pretty big.
So
I'm not going to lie, I'm a little jealous.
I figured I'd just throw in his personal stats. He has had a career passer rating of 93.8.
That's not bad.
A completion percentage of 66.9. He has thrown for 11,480 total yards, 70 touchdowns, and that contract came out to $230 million with a homework assignment.
Which we are discussing now.
4 hours of studying film.
A week. Not a day.
A week.
A week. Clarification, though. So, backstory real quick. Kyler Murray's been fighting with the Cardinals all offseason. I want an extension.
Acting like a baby.
One. Kyler Murray has not ever won a playoff game.
I don't think so.
Nope, hasn't. Nope. So, anyways, going back and forth. It's kind of like the Dak thing, but Kyler's took a little bit shorter. And then, anyways, they inked him to a $230 million contract for 5 years. I think 160 of it was guaranteed. And but in the contract, there's a clause that says he must complete 4 hours of independent study of film per week.
Because Kyler Murray apparently does not study film. He just relies on strictly his talent and his abilities to get by. Well, you know who watches film? Literally every other player in the NFL that has ever existed and that currently plays.
Yeah, the successful quarterbacks watch film. Like, I know Peyton Manning was a big film watcher.
Film guy.
Tom Brady,
all of the great QBs were film watchers.
Tom Brady watches film when he's at his house hanging out with his kids. He watches it with his kids. Yep. Like that's been shown on his documentary. Russell Wilson watches tons of film. I think everybody watches film.
And these are all quarterbacks that pride themselves on the pre-snap read, basically being able to pick apart the defense, because when you're watching all that film, you can see what the defense is going to do based off of the formation that they come out in, the package, who all they have out on the field. And then you got Kyler Murray over here who's like, I don't need to watch film.
He said...
You're 22, 23, and 1. You have a losing record as a QB. You might need to watch a little bit of film.
Smoked your first playoff game last year. Like, absolutely demolished by the Rams. It's like 38-7, something like that.
You know who watches film? Matt Stafford probably watched film on y'all that game.
Yeah, he said, Kyler came out and said a few months ago, he said, I rely on my ability. Obviously, he's got extreme athleticism.
I don't think we're not denying the fact that he's not a great athlete.
Yeah,
he's
awesome.
A great athlete, but everyone in the NFL is a great athlete because that's what got them there. Right?
You have to go that extra
It is the
mile.
best of the best in the nation, right? Well, you got to have something else. You got to have something extra. You need these intangibles.
He said he's good on the fly, reading the defenses on the fly, not preparing for them, but like basically the improv, like reading of the defense before the snap. He can handle all that. But like those defenses, I've been watching film on him, so they know the kind of adjustments he makes so they can disguise. For those of you that don't completely understand all the X's and O's of football, like these defenses can disguise a package and make it look like something to him because he hasn't studied.
Everyone on the planet knows that Kyler Murray doesn't watch film because he literally came out and said that he doesn't watch film. Obviously, that's changed now, but I think that has also been what has been the demise of his career is the fact that he doesn't watch film.
He said that before the Rams game. I wonder if that's why they lost so bad, because the Rams were
the Rams just like changed up their defense.
Like one of the best defenses in the NFL too. I got a kick out of it seeing that it was in his clause. Now he's getting flamed on everything he's got the homework clause. Like most of the time you don't have to tell a grown man playing in the NFL, especially the quarterback, hey, you need to watch a lot of film. Like, and this is not film at the practice facility, but it's more like film at home. Like when you leave on the plane back, a lot of guys watch film on the plane back from the game, like for the next game. Like they're always preparing.
It's your job too. Like it is your job, especially as the quarterback, to know everything that the defense is going to do, their tendencies and all of that stuff. And then you not watching film, well, you don't know any of that. And so how are you supposed to lead an offense? You can't.
In high school, he didn't lose a game. In high school, it was all based off his athleticism. He could read defense because it's high school football. Got to college, he got mad at A&M because he didn't play. So he moves to OU. Well, in OU, he did whatever he wanted. He was great because he's in the Big 12. And guess what? They don't have defense in the Big 12. And so he crushed it in the Big 12, won the Heisman. So then he goes to the Cardinals, and he hasn't had – I understand they went to the playoffs this year, but they were rolling at the beginning of last season. Everybody's like, Cardinals are winning the Super Bowl this year. Second half of the season, they were terrible.
Which I think needs to be brought up is this contract that he has got, this huge contract, he'll be worth it next year for about 8 weeks.
I agree.
For the first 8 to 10 weeks, he will be well worth it. But after that, Kyler Murray's going to be nowhere to be found.
I don't think he's because it's once defenses get him figured out, they start losing because Kyler's great at scrambling and throwing on the run. He's not really a pocket passer. So, once they figure out, this is where we need to contain him, this is where he likes to go.
And which it makes sense because Kyler and the Cardinals always fall off in the second half of the season. Like it happened last year. It was terrible. And obviously
last year they were able to sneak into the playoffs and then get beat. They lost their spot to the Rams, and then they snuck into the wild card and lost to the Rams. I think this season it'll be the same. The NFC's weak. I think they still make it to the wild card. I don't think they make it that far, even if they were lucky enough to. They'll probably play the Cowboys and beat the Cowboys because, let's just face it, we're not winning a playoff game.
One thing that I saw that it was dumb, in my opinion, is I saw on Twitter, it was posted, it was when the Cardinals played the Bills and Kyler Murray threw up that Hail Mary to D-Hop and D-Hop caught it and they won the game. Well, the caption was, the Cardinals been watching this over and over again before they gave Kyler that extension. And I'm like, really? We're going to act like DeAndre Hopkins didn't moss three defenders? To be honest, anyone can just sling it up there.
That game, Kyler didn't play that great. I remember that game. He got a lucky Hail Mary out of it, but
they're talking about the fact that Kyler Murray's the only one that could scramble and get out of the pocket. No, he's not. He is definitely not. Like I've seen like Josh Allen does that. Patrick Mahomes does that.
And what do you think? Josh Allen, extremely talented, super athletic. Joe Burrow, extremely talented, super athletic. Justin Herbert, the same thing. I bet all these guys, even though they're young, they're not the ancient quarterbacks like Brady and Wilson, who have to watch film. I bet the young guys, they watch film all the time. I bet Joe Burrow carried his terrible O-line and terrible defense to the Super Bowl by being athletic and also watching film on the teams he was about to play.
It comes down to, you have to love it. You know what I'm saying?
It has to be
you have to love everything. Practice. You have to love watching film. You have to love
And then you're telling them, listen, I'm worth Deshaun Watson money. Like, I'm worth $230 million guaranteed. I think you should pay me. I've never won a playoff game. Like, I've never carried a team. And I don't think I need to watch film, but you need to pay me as much money as I can possibly get. Like, it worked because the quarterback market's insane, but it's kind of ridiculous. And so I think he deserves all the flack he's getting right now.
Exactly. I would completely agree. He's getting absolutely flamed. Honestly, he deserves every single bit.
I liked Kyler up until this offseason, and everything he's done this offseason.
He's just acting like a baby. Like, at first, whenever he was trying to get out of the Cardinals organization, right? And so he like deleted, or he changed his profile picture. Yeah, we talked about that. And he like took down all of his Cardinals posts on his Instagram. Like, I guess it worked because in the end he got the money that he wanted, but it just it's a little annoying and frustrating if you ask me.
I think we'll be able to see who Kyler Murray really is, or still be able to see it because we've already seen.
What's going to happen is the first 8 to 10 weeks, everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, everyone was hating on Kyler Murray. He's going to be worth it. Well, guess what? It's going to be like every other Cardinals season where they come out hot. They come out firing, but then what's going to happen the second half of the season? They're going to get destroyed.
We're calling it right now. This came from under review. All right, so after the first half of the season, see what
they can go 7-0 again. I don't care. In the first 7 weeks.
Let's shift our focus to something that happened a few weeks ago that we didn't talk about. Another pretty bad quarterback. Kyler's not bad, sorry, but another not great quarterback. Baker Mayfield finally got traded to the Panthers. So, Nick, how are we feeling about that pickup by the Panthers?
Man, that's phenomenal. I think they found their Super Bowl QB. No, I'm just kidding. I really don't. It's like he's not that much of an upgrade from Sam Darnold.
I think they're basically the same guy.
Like,
okay, here's how I feel. Baker's more accomplished, but that's because Baker had a better team. Darnold was working with the Jets. Baker was working with the Browns, who actually had a pretty good, talented team.
Mm-hmm.
But they've both, since being drafted in 2018, here's another stat for y'all, and I think I might have used this as stat of the week at some point. Maybe I didn't. I've definitely said this stat on the show. They are the number 1 and number 2 quarterbacks leading in interceptions since 2018, since they were drafted. They lead the league in interceptions. And
Baker Mayfield,
and now they're on the same team.
Was supposed to be the number 1, or he was the number 1 overall pick, so he's supposed to be the dude. Well, the dude has not shown up. And I think this is my take on the Panthers situation.
Give it to us straight.
At the quarterback spot. I think at the beginning of the season, Baker will be the starter. He'll win the position. But then, honestly, about midway through the season or so, I think he's going to lose it to Sam Darnold.
I agree. And also, I think he'll be the starter, not really because you won the job, but because you can't have him as your backup now. Because now, whenever Sam Darnold makes the slightest mistake, everybody's going to be saying, oh, should have put Baker in, start Baker. So I bet Matt Rule, who's fighting for his job because he's probably going to get fired at the end of the season or during the season. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened during the season.
Yeah, there's been a lot of midseason shenanigans regarding the coaching staffs in general.
I bet Baker's starting. I wouldn't be surprised with Sam Darnold. Also, Week 1, Panthers playing the Browns, so it's kind of a no-brainer. You got to start Baker. You get so much more ratings that way. Like, everybody's going to be wanting to watch that revenge game. But I will say this. All y'all Baker lovers out there, he number 1 first pick in the draft, and like most of the time, like Kyler just got extended. He was the number 1 pick. Most of the time, those QBs get extended, and he got traded and would have been cut if they hadn't traded
Other
him.
than Baker's his very first season, what has he done?
His third season.
I guess so, yeah.
His first season, he wasn't that good.
But, I mean, I would argue that Baker has done nothing.
He hasn't done anything. He won the Browns their first playoff game against the Steelers, who were, by the way, were terrible that year. They went 11-0 to start, and then they're basically the Cardinals that we've been talking about for the rest of the way. And so they were terrible. So he beat the Steelers at home. It was good. But other than that, one second half of the third season of his career, Baker Mayfield has been terrible. And don't tell me last season he was hurt. Okay, if he was hurt last season, which he might have been, he shouldn't have played because all those stats still count. You can't throw him out the window because he was, quote, hurt. Shouldn't have let him play at that point.
I think he was hurt and, whatever, he was trying to play through injury, but, why would you...
Why are you playing?
Exactly. And obviously, you can take that into consideration as well because he's injury prone now. Obviously, he's had that shoulder
surgery, I think.
thing.
He had surgery
I don't remember
at the
exactly
end of the
what it
season.
was.
Shoulder surgery. So he also is now coming off of surgery.
Exactly.
I think here's what happens with Baker.
I would say Sam Darnold is more mobile than Baker Mayfield. That is my personal opinion. But I would argue Sam Darnold is more mobile than Baker.
I think, in my opinion, I would take Sam Darnold. I'd take Sam Darnold in a heartbeat over Baker. And the number one reason is because Sam Darnold is a real team player. He's a real leader. He's a real QB. Baker is a diva. Baker is the quarterback Odell Beckham Jr. That's what Baker is.
He does not present a very good locker room presence. Obviously, when you're the quarterback of the team or when you're a coach and you have the quarterback of your team, he has to be a leader. He has to be willing to step up and lead the team to success, right? He has to be, I would say, kind of selfless and a servant as well. But Baker is just so full of himself. Joseph put it perfectly. He's a diva. He is the Odell version of a QB.
Yep.
And I agree 1,000%.
We are in agreement on this show, in case you haven't noticed. This is not a disagreeing
Especially
show.
when it regards degrading and demeaning Odell and Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, so obviously whenever Odell and Baker were together, that didn't work. And then Odell left. No, Odell got hurt. Baker did great. So not everyone wanted to blame Odell. The truth is, guys, you can't have Odell Beckham and
Those
Baker
two
Mayfield
personalities
on the same team.
are not going to work in the locker room.
Exactly. You know, Cam Newton had a big locker room presence, right? But Cam Newton had a big locker room presence, and he was still a great teammate, still a great leader. Now, even though he took a lot of spotlight, I wouldn't suggest being like Cam Newton as a quarterback, but he did it more right. Baker's like, I don't know. He thinks everything.
And he was completely trashing the Browns.
Yeah.
This was before he had even left. Right.
And then,
he was just absolutely
and then he played
destroying them out into the public.
Yeah.
He said stuff on his podcast. He put stuff out on social media.
And then he acts like a victim whenever they're going to take Deshaun Watson over him, which, by the way, we're just looking at Deshaun as a player, not as a person right now. I just have to disclaimer out there. I know he's probably going to get suspended or whatever. But, guys, it's a no-brainer. You take Deshaun Watson over Baker Mayfield any day of the week because he's better. 10 times better than
even
Baker
though
Mayfield.
Deshaun Watson hasn't even played a season, or he missed last season, sorry, I would still take him over Baker.
He has proven that he is clutch. Obviously, he couldn't carry the garbage Texans to a Super Bowl.
He still did something.
He
with
still
them.
took them pretty far, like a divisional round, I think. Yeah.
And all he had was, obviously, you can make the argument that he had D-Hop, but that was literally it.
That was pretty much it.
He had one guy.
Will Fuller was always hurt. So it's a no-brainer. You take Deshaun over Baker and you cut Baker or trade him, I guess. And this is how, by the way, this is how good Baker is for all of you, again, for all you Baker lovers out there. Baker, the number one pick in the draft.
Was traded for
But was traded to the Panthers. But you know what they also had to send with him? $10 million. They had to pay the Panthers to take Baker Mayfield. $10 million. And you know, Baker was on the market for a good long while before the worst team in the NFL, they've been graded the worst team by Pro Football Focus, decided they would take him with $10 million.
What else did they get? Did they get it? They didn't. No, it wasn't a first round. Was it a second round? No, I don't think so. It was a fifth.
They got him for a fifth round
big old
pick.
Cinco rounder.
Guys, it's kind of so obvious how good he is at this point. So I don't want to hear. Okay, you know what? Let's just face it. Jacoby Brissett probably going to be starting week 1 for the Browns because Deshaun's going to get suspended.
Who knows?
So if Baker comes out at Carolina and beats Cleveland because Cleveland's a mess right now, that does not mean he's the greatest quarterback in the world. That's just going to be a headline for the first week. Baker's back.
Also, beating the Browns, period, does not matter who you
Especially
are, is
right
not
now.
a statement win. It doesn't really mean that much. Obviously, if it's a divisional game, sure, whatever. It means more, but if you're the Panthers and you beat those are two garbage teams.
Yeah,
It's
the
just
Browns.
which team
the Browns
is less
aren't going to be
garbage.
good until they get Deshaun back.
And
that's not going to be
there's
for a little bit.
Solid chance that he gets suspended for this entire season.
There is a good chance. Which that news should be coming out pretty soon, I would imagine.
Yeah,
The NFL's kind of taking their time, but
they sure are milking it, man.
they really are. But yeah, Baker Mayfield, I mean, for the Panthers, hey, what have you got to lose, right? But so hey, just pick up another quarterback. Obviously, it was Baker won that draft, and then Darnold 3. So it was the first 2 quarterbacks taken was Baker and Darnold.
Why don't we get another one?
And so they're gonna battle it out, have a QB battle, and then I think they're just gonna keep flip flopping them during the season. I think both of them aren't gonna do very good because also they're on the Panthers.
Yeah,
the Panthers
it'll be
aren't good.
similar to the situation last year with Darnold and Cam Newton,
Yep.
where one had it for a while and then they flipped them and then they
And I'm sure one of them will get hurt. They're both kind of injury prone.
Yeah. I don't, obviously, no one's expecting anything at all from the Panthers this season. They just kind of have a little bit of a spotlight on them because they have Baker now, and so everyone's going to watch and see
was a good
how does
publicity
Baker
move.
do without the Browns or whatever. Obviously, I don't think he's going to do much.
I start Sam Darnold and keep him as my starter all day. Keep Baker on the bench.
Baker will definitely play against Cleveland, I think.
I think so,
I feel
too.
like they kind of have to throw him in there.
Yeah.
But they might leave him in to start for a little bit, but I for sure think he's going to lose that starting spot to Sam Darnold.
Dude, I've always kind of been a Sam Darnold guy. He just got thrown into a terrible situation with the Jets. I don't think he's that bad.
And the other thing
He
is,
doesn't have an O-line in Carolina either.
people want to say, like, oh, well, we gave Sam Darnold a chance. Everyone was saying, give him a chance. Let him get off the Jets. Well, he went to the Panthers, and I would argue that the Panthers are really not that much better.
At the moment, the Panthers are worse than the Jets.
I'm not saying he can be, like, the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. He's going to end up being a decent
top
backup.
caliber
He's gonna
QB, but I just
backup.
think he gets a lot of junk from people that I don't really think is deserved.
I think he's going to become like Andy Dalton. Like, I think he's just going to be a good, solid backup. He's a good locker room guy. But I'm rooting for him, man. And by the way, a backup QB in the NFL is a pretty solid job to have.
You could stick around for, like, think
Fitzpatrick
about Ryan.
was
I was about to say, Ryan
14,
Fitzpatrick
15 years?
bounced around. He played for, like, all 32 teams, basically.
Yeah.
And he played a solid amount of games, even though he's a backup QB.
I think that
The Fitzmagic was real.
it was. And I think that Baker will start. Baker will end up losing the job. Nick and I are in agreement with that. And one more thing before we end the show that we just have to give some spotlight to. The Cowboys failed to pick up Julio Jones, who is now going to play with Tom Brady.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No surprise there. Brady got himself a good weapon for a year. Probably Brady's last year. Might even be Julio's last year.
There's another big, tall guy for you.
So you got
Tom.
Godwin, Evans, and Julio Jones.
There is a solid chance that the Buccaneers win the Super Bowl this year. Why? Because Jennifer Lopez has tied the knot. And every year that has happened, Tom Brady has won a Super Bowl.
No way, for real?
Yes. So wait, she's been married
I don't even know.
3-4 times. Well, I know those 3 or 4 times that same year or that same season.
This is like the Kendrick Lamar
Tom
thing?
Brady has won that Super Bowl.
It's like...
And yes, I was about to bring that up. It's like the Kendrick Lamar thing.
With
Whenever
Golden
he
State.
releases an album, Golden State wins the NBA Finals. So,
Dude, we don't even need to watch the NFL this season.
Tom Brady is going to get himself that last championship.
Except for that first game when they come to Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
And we roll them. Just kidding. But,
They'll be sitting a nice 0-1 after that.
yep. As we hope. Well, we start the season off strong. We always do.
We did last year.
We're also like the Cardinals.
We definitely gave the Buccaneers a run for their money last year.
We did. And this time it's at home, which that doesn't really mean much because we don't have enough fans show up for games from all over.
Dude, you know what else the Cowboys need to do in the offseason that we have not really brought
What?
mention to? Dude, can we get a new kicker?
Have we not signed one yet?
Have we?
I thought we had.
Really? Did we? Because I can't think right now.
I hope so. We definitely have some kickers. I just don't know if they're
I'm
very
saying
good.
we need to find our Dan Bailey, as it were. Dan Bailey
Dude,
was
draft a kicker.
goated.
Go get
for
Seth
like,
Small.
Obviously, his like last season with the Cowboys, he was garbage. But we need that caliber of a player.
I think, and I hope Seth is listening to this, I think the Cowboys should go get Seth Small. He's in the CFL right now, but he would be willing to come and just completely just nail him like he was hitting him at A&M. He can come to Dallas and do the same thing.
I'll take anyone. I'm going to be honest
Seth
with
Small
you.
is pretty accurate. I'm a Seth Small guy for life. Call him up. Jerry, call him up.
I will take. Okay, honestly, anybody can be better than what we had last year.
That is so true. We've got to make the extra points, guys.
And the field goals that are like 20 yards away.
Yep, exactly.
Well, here's we like to end our shows on Under Review. I've brought to you a quote from Hank Aaron. That's right, Hackin' Hank, the swinging boy. All right, consistency is what counts. You have to be able to do things over and over again.
So true.
Which is true.
Like win. As the
Exactly.
Cowboys.
Right.
Hey, we're hyped. Training camp started yesterday for all the teams, or today, one of those days. But the NFL season is almost back. We're there for all of it. Can't wait to highlight it all with y'all.
Obviously, we won't be talking about the Cowboys because they're not going to be doing anything good.
We'll be talking about them losing, probably.
Yeah, we'll give you the rundown of them losing.
But thank y'all for tuning in this week. We will see y'all next week on Under Review.